Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and today we're going to take a look at two mid-range devices that have really good specs, especially for the price, the Xiaomi 15T and 15T Pro. There's about a $150 difference between them. When you convert it, it's around there. I'll list the pricing next to me. With a price difference comes differences in the devices themselves, including camera, screen, chipset. Both have MediaTek chipsets, but they are a little bit different. So we are gonna dive into it, see what comes in the box of both of these, and then of course get some hands-on, compare them side by side. Let's get started. Here they are, the Xiaomi 15T and 15T Pro co-engineered with Leica. Let's take a look what comes in the box. I'll let you know if there's anything different. Opening the box, let's take a peek what we get. You have your SIM ejection tool, and inside you do have an extra, you do get a case, which is always nice to just have an included extra. Your standard booklets, getting started guide, and a USB Type-A to Type-C cable for charging with some orange accents. Below that is your phone, and that's everything that comes in the box, at least of the 15T Pro. Gives you a lot of information about the specs, Dimensity 9400 plus, 144 hertz display, that 90-watt wired charging, and more. As expected, inside the box of the 15T is the exact same. You do get a case, you do get a charging cable, and just a quick look at those specs. On the front, you'll notice they're different with the chipset, and even that wired charging is a little bit slower. Not that 67 watts is slow by any means. They do have the same 5,500 milliamp hour battery. A bit of a difference between the refresh rate, 144 versus 120 hertz, but the exact same size display. But we'll talk about other differences because there are more than just these quick specs. So let's peel these two off. Remember, this is the 15T on the right and the 15T Pro on the left. Side by side with the colors, you have mocha gold in the Pro model here, and this is silver on the regular T. I really like this mocha gold color. It's very clean looking. It's not super flashy by any means. Anyways, I'm gonna turn both these phones on, and let's take a closer look at the hardware, talk about anything different. Down at the bottom, exact same SIM card slot, microphone, USB Type-C port, and one of the speakers. Moving along on the right side, make notes the exact same size and dimensions because it has that same screen size. On the right side is that power button and volume rockers. You do see accents for the antennas on the mocha gold, so that's a little bit different, whereas on the silver it doesn't seem to have any. Up towards the top, looks like you have a microphone on the regular T. The Pro doesn't have one up there. I believe it's embedded where that second speaker, that earpiece is. And then along the left side, absolutely nothing. And a quick side-by-side with those two colors. You do get a bit of a difference with those camera systems. Both main sensors are 50 megapixels. However, the Pro model has the Light Fusion 900 sensor versus the 800 on the regular T. Again, 50 megapixel telephoto on both. However, a little bit of a difference. A 46 millimeter focal length on the regular, and then all the way up to 115 millimeter focal length. So much better optical zoom on the Pro. And finally, both have a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. All booted up and ready to go. I'm gonna run through the startup process, talk about anything that's noteworthy. However, I will say while holding these, I can tell the Pro is slightly heavier than the regular T. Obviously with the camera lens sensor being a little bit bigger and a little bit different, there's just a slight weight difference. Both offer fingerprint and face unlock. I'd also like to point out that both have a pre-installed screen protector, which is another nice add-on. Setting our thumb down on the fingerprint scanner on both, the haptic feedback feels the exact same to me, which is nice. And I will say the location of this fingerprint scanner is a little bit lower than I'm used to on other devices. You will get used to it, it's just a little bit lower. You have the option to choose app drawer or classic. I generally prefer the app drawer, and you can choose buttons or full screen gestures. While this is getting set up, one thing I'm noticing is that the camera module's raised up a little bit more as well on the Pro. I can just feel the difference, a little more leverage when I'm holding the phone in my left hand versus my right versus the regular. It sort of slides above the module. Anyways, we are all set up and ready to go with our 6.83 inch displays, 144 hertz on the Pro, 120 hertz on the regular. It seems like they're both enabled out of the box. Aside from that refresh rate, both displays are the exact same at 1280p resolution, AMOLED up to 3200 nits, peak brightness. In display and brightness settings, one thing I noticed is an extra setting on the Pro, and that's advanced textures to add rendering effects like blurring across the system to provide an enhanced visual experience. So I'm going to turn that on and let you know if I notice anything different throughout the video. Otherwise, scrolling down, everything's the same. If we do go into a refresh rate, it's set to default out of the box, so it'll dynamically change depending on the content shown. Or one nice thing about Xiaomi is that you can go to custom, force maybe 60 hertz or 120 hertz or up to 144 hertz. And this is the apps that can use the 144 hertz. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you might not have some selected and you need to go in and manually select those. And same with this, high refresh rate, which ones are selected, which ones aren't. Speaking of that setting, right away I noticed, so when I go to recent apps, look at this. You'll see it blurs the apps on the Pro and it just gets rid of them on the regular. So I think that's what it's talking about. Let's swipe away and you'll see even when I'm going to these apps, it shows those icons or whatever content's in the background, it just blurs it as opposed to just sort of getting rid of it. Very quickly and just for fun, let's test out that in-display fingerprint scanner. Exact same on both, so it should perform the exact same. You don't need to turn the screen on. You'll notice I'm just setting my thumb in the right position and it's unlocking right away, so it seems to work great. I'd recommend you leave these on. Next up, let's go into the camera app on both of these phones. Right away when it opens up, it gives you some Leica options where you can change the style and the feel, walks you through pro video, see what's new, and fast shot. Snapping some quick pictures just to see the shutter speed. Seems to be about the exact same, 0.6, exact same. Again, going to 0.2x, which is optically. Now, one thing about this is it's got a 0.5 times zoom. So at this price point, it's rare to see a 0.5 times zoom optical lens on the back. Whereas if you wanted to go 5x on this phone, it is completely digital. You can zoom all the way up to 60 times on the regular, and then if on the Pro model, you can zoom all the way up to 100x. So there's just better zoom overall on the Pro model. Not just camera zoom, but if we go into video and on the regular 1080, I'm gonna bump it up to 4K, which is pretty normal, 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. Now on the Pro, if we go into 4K, well, first of all, you can go all the way up to 8K on the Pro, so there's a big difference. Again, at this price point, really nice feature set, and 4K 30, 60, or 120, which I love having on a phone. There's some flagship-like phones out there that don't have 4K 120 on it. Of course, you get a Pro mode on both, and portrait, you can go all the way up to 5 times zoom with the portrait on this one, so a lot more flexibility in those portrait shots, documents. Now, if we go back to photo and we swipe up, that's where those extra options are, like Ultra HD, slow motion. Swiping down from the left gets you to your notifications, and then over to the right are those quick settings. Going into settings, you have your Xiaomi Hyper AI. Scrolling down, fingerprints, personalization, and I want to find advanced or additional settings. Here's where you'll find your one-handed mode, your floating windows, active visual presence, so if you're looking at the screen, it won't lock it. AI subtitles are there. Anyways, that's just about everything I want to talk about for now with the Xiaomi 15T and Xiaomi 15T Pro. Drop a comment, let me know what you're going to go with. Actually a great option at the specific price points they're at. So definitely be sure to check them out. I'll link to them down below. Be sure to subscribe. A lot more content coming soon. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.